Hello and welcome to this very special live edition of The Print, where I have the Chairman of University Grants Commission, Professor M.Jagadesh Kumar with me. Welcome to The Print, Professor.
Thank you, Kritika.
So in the last 1 month, there have been a lot of announcements in the higher education sector. You have the CUET, the Common University Entrance Exam, which has sort of completely changed the way admissions in universities and colleges are going to take place. Then there is the double degree program, which allows students to obtain 2 degrees simultaneously. And then yesterday only, the UGC announced the day before, in fact, UGC announced how students can obtain dual degrees and joint degrees in association with Indian and foreign universities. So I'm sure students have a lot of questions regarding these, which is why I asked Professor if he could give us some time and we could take questions live from the students and he could answer them. So, sir, let me ask, start by asking one question which has been going on in the minds of almost everyone. There's the FYUP, the 4-year undergraduate program, then there is the double degree program, and now these foreign collaborations. Do you think it is not a bit too overwhelming for the students to try and figure out and understand what they should be doing and how they should take things ahead?
Kritika, it's my pleasure to be here, and I'll be very glad to answer any questions that your viewers may have or you may have. First of all, whatever reforms that UGC has been announcing in the recent past, all that is in tune with the vision of the National Education Policy 2020, be it the CUET and the other double degree program, dual degree program, twinning, and so on. And many more are in the anvil. Such as permitting the top quality institutions in our country to offer online degrees, the academic bank of credits, and students have already been given approval by the UGC to do up to 40% of their program credit requirements from other universities or in online mode. So several such reforms are coming, and I'm sure students will have some questions on many of these things. But Kritika, before I take up any questions, I would like to ask this question myself. What is that the young students want in their life? What is that they want to achieve? I have been interacting with the students all through my career, and I still teach in IIT Delhi. And it's very clear that today's young people, they want to be effective learners, and they also want to be lifelong learners. And it's very obvious to me when I talk to the students that they want to critically think about many things that they are learning and they are experiencing in their life. And they want to acquire problem-solving capabilities by synthesizing information that comes from every direction. They want to be creative and innovative. They also want to develop that ability to take risks and learn from the failures. So there are many things that the students want to do. So can we imagine ourselves from their perspective and then make our education as flexible, as holistic, as multidisciplinary as possible? And that is what is UGC is doing. And this is completely in tune with the National Education Policy.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much for that response. On that note, let me start taking some questions because we've had an overwhelming response. We've received questions on our YouTube community page. I've had some questions personally emailed to me.
Right.
So there is a lot of interest, of course, in the double degree program. So I will combine a couple of questions and ask them. So students want to know first, is it possible to pursue a BTech along with a BA? Then whether a full-time PhD student can pursue a distance mode master's degree?
Right. So let me take the second question first.
Yes.
Because all of us, we were also PhD students. Yes. PhD is a very, very intensive process. It may require theoretical work, it may require experimental work, and you will also have to take some courses to fill up gaps in your experience and in your knowledge. So when you are doing PhD, you will be fully occupied with your PhD research work. But however, you will still have opportunities. For example, as I do with my PhD students, if they come with certain background, I ask them to take additional courses within IIT itself. So similarly, if you are a PhD student in a university or in some other institute, you can identify some courses which may strengthen your abilities to do your PhD more effectively and register for those courses and do, instead of doing a parallel degree or instead of registering for some other degree. That will be very, very helpful to the PhD students.
You mean instead of a full-time master's, something that enhances their current PhD?
Yes. In fact, for every PhD student, usually there is a student research monitoring committee in every university. And this committee itself will assess the student capabilities and suggest additional courses to do so that they can fill up the gaps in their knowledge and experience.
Okay. The other question, sir, I mean, and this is something that I have also been asked about, whether a BTech and a BA, although they seem, even the streams are very different. So it seems a little unlikely, but I wanted your thought on it. Is a BTech and a BA possible in a double degree program?
You see, in the 2-degree program, we have announced 3 schemes. One is in the physical mode, you can do 2 degrees, maybe during daytime 1 degree. And if there is a degree in the evening, you do another degree by attending physically. And the other mode is, if you have registered for a physical degree in a university, you can do an online degree parallelly. The third option is, you have not registered anywhere in any university, but you can do 2 online degrees simultaneously. And in the example that you have given, I am a BTech student and I want to do a parallel degree. Now, when do we need parallel degrees? Let's say I am doing BTech in civil engineering, and after my civil engineering BTech is over, if I had to work with the teams of people in, let's say, in constructing a large building or a large bridge or long roads, I need to deal with people. I need to motivate those teams. So it will definitely help me if I do a parallel degree, let's say in psychology or in organizational psychology. So that's the reason why we are emphasizing on multidisciplinarity. If you are an engineer, that alone is not sufficient. You also need to study other areas of disciplines also. So if the university adopts the 2-degree program announced by UGC, and if the university permits the students to do 1 online degree while they are physically studying their BTech degree, it is quite possible.
Okay. So there is another viewer who's also, I think, a student, because he has written a very detailed email to me as well as reached out to me on Twitter. Okay. I'm not sure if he's confused or if he has some information that I don't have, but he's saying that a similar notification regarding 2-degree program was approved in 2020 as well, and some students took admission around that time. So what will happen to those students now that this notification has come out, this particular program has come out? Your thoughts on that, sir?
Kritika, I would like to clarify on this for the benefit of all the other students also.
Yes, sir.
UGC has not yet notified, before the notification that we issued for the 2-degree program. Before that, we never issued any notification permitting the students to do 2 degrees. In fact, in 2016, we issued a public notice clearly indicating that the commission will not permit students to do 2 degrees. But meanwhile, the national education policy has come. It has opened up the roads for us to make our higher education as flexible as possible. And that's the reason why we formed a committee, and the committee gave its recommendations, and only in the last commission meeting we approved it. But I would like to bring a little more clarity on this. See, in the commission since 2012, we have been discussing about the possibility of allowing the students to do 2 degrees simultaneously. At various levels, it was discussed. In fact, it was even approved in the commission meeting, but then we never brought out any notification. So unless a notification is brought out by UGC, it will not become a rule for the educational institutes to follow. So therefore, if any students have done earlier 2 parallel degrees, they will still not be recognized by UGC. Only after this new rule has come, prospectively, this rule is applicable.
Sure. Thank you so much, sir, for that very important clarification. And in fact, I will like to tell this to my viewers and readers also. If you think that this was something which was approved earlier, it was not. Right. In fact, the UGC had decided to go ahead with something like this, but the notification finally came out now. Yes. So the 2-degree program is now valid. So any kind of confusion, I hope they're clear now. Sir, I have a few other questions which are not exactly related to this, but I would like to ask them because they are of student interest. Right. Aditya wants to ask, is UGC planning more MOUs with professional courses, organizations like ICAI, ICSI, and any chances of streamlining the process of doing doctorate for working professionals? So I think these are 2 separate questions. Okay. So first is about MOUs with professional bodies. And the second is,
right. Aditya, UGC does not sign MOUs with the professional bodies. We would like the professional bodies among themselves to sign MOUs and establish more collaborations. And UGC will facilitate such collaborations through its policy interventions.
Okay. Okay. Sir, right. Anything on doing doctorate for working professionals?
Well, in many IITs, for example, we have what is known as part-time PhD, meaning that I myself have students who are working in industry, but they are doing PhD with me. However, there is a requirement that you need to take courses physically at IIT, and that may spread over 6 months or 1 year. The students come in the morning, attend these courses, and then go back to their work. Finish this coursework, and then they can stay back in their workplace and then continue this research. So this facility already exists.
Okay. So there is another question by this viewer called Achintya Nath Saxena. Achintya wants to know, UGC recognizes PhDs from top 500 foreign universities for appointment as assistant professor without UGC NET, but does not recognize PhD from IITs and IIMs for the same, which are rated within 200 globally. Why is that so?
Is that so? See, we are trying to bring out many changes in the regulations. Sure, and since you have brought this to my notice, we will look into that. And you see, national education policy, it wants our educational system to be more flexible, of course, accountable, with a responsibility. And we will definitely bring in many more changes to facilitate high quality PhD students to be appointed as faculty members in our university system.
Sure. So Achintya, I hope this answers your questions. You'll just have to, I think, wait a little for more reforms to happen, and then, things will be better. Sir, there are a couple of questions about CUET as well. I mean, I was in fact very sure that students are going to ask about CUET, since this is the exams are just going to happen. One person wants to ask, why can't there be a uniform syllabus for CUET across all colleges and universities?
What we said is that for CUET, we will use the 12th standard NCERT syllabus. And we have 27 papers, 27 subjects in which CUET is conducted. And the syllabus for each of these subjects will be taken from the 12th standard NCERT syllabus. However, there are about 21 states in our country which have adopted the NCERT syllabus, and there are many other states they still follow the state board syllabus. And we are aware that there are some differences between state board syllabus and NCERT syllabus. And that's the reason why we are giving 50 questions in each test, and the students are required to answer only 40 questions. So there is going to be a lot of choice for the students, even if there is some difference between the state syllabus and the NCERT syllabus.
Okay, sir, important, obviously important clarification coming from you. Also, I mean, this is a question that I am asking you. If the syllabus is made uniform, in fact, is it not going to give rise to the, the coaching culture a lot more? Because then students can just mug up the syllabus and, just prepare for the same thing and come and write that in the paper and, get excellent marks, which is, I think, exactly opposite to why CUET has been planned. Don't you think so, sir?
Right. So many people have asked me this question, whether it will lead to coaching culture, whether students will neglect their board studies. Ultimately, Kritika and also my friends who are listening to this conversation, unfortunately, for too long, we thought school education means getting very high scores in the board examinations. I think we need to turn our attention back to learning, relearning, and unlearning. Ultimately, the high scores alone will not help us. It is the skill set and the knowledge base that you develop by being a good learner that will help you ultimately to become a creative person, an innovative person. So the idea of using CUET is precisely to take away the pressure from the minds of the students to focus only on getting these very high scores, which are becoming ridiculously high, 99%, 100% in some cases. Now that there is no pressure on getting these high scores, you can focus on being a good learner. In my view, how does it matter whether you get 82% or 87%, as long as you are a good learner? But if the admissions are based on only the board scores, then it makes a huge difference whether it is 82% or 87%, you are in or out. So the biggest advantage of CUET is, therefore, it lets you to focus on your studies and become a good learner. And then even if you get lesser percentage, even if you get 70%, you can still attempt CUET and try out your opportunities for admission in some of the best universities. And second point, Kritika, why it will not lead to the coaching culture is that where is coaching culture? In situations where there is a huge competition, such as JEE. In JEE, nearly 12 lakh students compete for about 16,000 seats. That's about 1:75 competition. But if you look at all the 45 central universities, we have 1.2 lakhs. And I know some of the best universities in the country, whether they are state universities or deemed to be universities, even private universities, they are joining the CUET, raising the number of seats in these universities to anywhere close to maybe 3 lakhs. But the same set of students will be attempting, and therefore the competition will come down to something like 1:5. So therefore, my request to the students is that focus on your board studies and try to become a good learner, improve your basic understanding of the subject, and I'm sure you will be able to do very well in CUET.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much for that, sir. In fact, we're getting some more questions from the students. So one question which has been repeatedly asked by various people in different forms, people want to ask about PhD admissions and JRF. They are saying that there is a lot of bias in the among the guides, and people who are Dalits and from the reserved category, they are not getting admissions because there is bias among the in the academic fraternity. How do you respond to that, sir?
Kritika, any form of discrimination should not be there in our admission process, and our stand is very, very clear on this. And every university should ensure during the PhD interviews that discrimination is zero. And universities have to come up with mechanisms. For example, when I was in JNU, we ensured that in every PhD admission committee, there are also faculty representatives coming from that particular category. It could be SC category, ST category. And what we did, we also brought non-subject experts so that their sole responsibility is to observe the entire interview process and make sure that there is no discrimination. And every university has to do it. And I know the SC/ST students who joined at JNU, they are doing extremely well in their PhD programs, and the talent is spread across the student community. So the highly talented people, they should have every opportunity to join in the PhD programs, and the universities must ensure that the discrimination is zero.
Anything in terms of the grievance mechanism, or any place where students would want to complain if something like that is happening with them, sir?
One thing you mentioned is that even if the students get admission, there is a possibility that some supervisors are not treating their PhD students well.
Yes,
this is a possibility, and we have come across a few such cases also. So what we have done is that we have advised every university to form a grievance redressal committee at the school level or the department level. And if the issue is not resolved, then there is a grievance redressal committee at the university level, where the rector or the pro vice chancellor could be the chairperson of this committee to resolve. The point is that there are bound to be some cases, and if there are such cases, how do we resolve those cases in a time-bound manner and bring a resolution? So already many universities have this mechanism, and in spite of that, if there are any such cases, they can always write to UGC, and UGC itself has a 24/7 grievance redressal system, and they can write to us so that we can talk to the universities and try to resolve these issues.
Okay, thank you so much for that, sir. In fact, all the students and everyone else who wrote to us specifically about these issues, I hope your question is answered. Sir, we're getting a lot of questions on the dual degree program and how it will be implemented, and what are the criteria that's going to be used. Of course, you can't take all the questions in one session in just this 30-minute slot, but I would like to ask you, sir, I mean, will there be any kind of awareness campaign or any sessions conducted by the universities to explain the nitty-gritties of the scheme to the students so that they have better clarity? Of course, you have been doing it in your various interviews. We have been doing this as a journalist, but will there be something from the universities and the academic fraternity as well?
So as you said, Kritika, this is a new scheme that we have announced, and that is why we are hand-holding with the vice chancellors and talking to them, addressing their questions also. And now it is for the vice chancellors and the heads of the institutions to have small meetings with the students and explain the nitty-gritties of this 2-degree program. And it's a continuous process, and over a period of time, I'm sure more awareness will be created about this 2-degree program. If you see the media and the social media and other places, the 2-degree program announcement is welcomed so positively. I'm very, very happy about it.
Yes, it is. It is. So I would like to wrap up this live with one last question, which is not about the 2-degree now, it is about CUET. Some students also want to know if there will be a CUET for the PG programs. Is there something like that planned in the future?
Yes, definitely. We are parallelly working. We'll soon be announcing the CUET for the PG programs. And we are also internally discussing to conduct the CUET for the UG programs twice in a year in the coming years, so that if the student misses one CUET, not able to do in one CUET, they can try their luck in the second CUET.
Okay, sir, consider that the second last question. I would just like to ask you one last question. How has the response to CUET been so far? The registration process has already started.
A tremendous, very, very positive response is there to CUET across the country. I have been discussing with the vice chancellors state by state. So far, I have met hundreds of vice chancellors, and there is a very open, a positive welcome to this CUET. And in the coming years, I'm sure it will become extremely popular.
Okay, so in the coming years, CUET will be the way to go when it comes to university admissions. And now that you're saying that it could be, the way to admission in PG programs as well, right? So
absolutely.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much for joining us, sir,
Thank
and
you.
answering all these questions. In fact, there are so many questions which I could not take. There were students were asking about all sorts of things, mostly about the double degree program. So congratulations to the UGC for bringing out such a interesting scheme. I hope it's very, very effective in the future. And thank you to all our viewers for joining us and sending us so many questions. I hope all your questions were answered. If some of them were not, we will try to answer them in our YouTube section, and I hope you read some of my articles and our articles and try to get an answer from those as well. Thank you so much.